Welcome to John Gets Games. Today, I'm going to do a full 4-player playthrough of Birds of a Feather. This simultaneous action bird-watching card game is going to be on Kickstarter from March 10th through April 2nd. So let's jump right into the game. Since we're playing a 4-player game, we all got 15 cards, and the first thing that we do before we actually start playing is we have to pick 3 of these cards and pass them to the player on our left. Let's see, this hand, it's pretty good. We got a variety of various different colors, we got a whole bunch of blue and a couple duplicates, so I think I'll definitely get rid of this duplicate here. I don't really need 2 of those, and I have lots of blue anyway. And then, let's see, I got 2 orange eggs, and eggs don't get you any victory points, really. They help you grab victory points from other players, but it's the weakest card. I certainly don't need 2 of those, so I'll pass that. And I think I'll pass another blue. I'll pass the blue egg here, and I'm going to send all those 3 to the opponent on my left. Alright, the opponent to my right gave me these 3 cards, which actually work really well for me. I don't have any of those duplicates, so I'm pretty happy with this trade. So now we all simultaneously choose 1 card from our hand and put it on the table. We see that players 2, 3, and 4 have already done that. Let's see, what do we want to play for our first card? Just looking at a broad overview of the cards, we see that I have 4 of the purple landscapes and only 3 and 2 of the other ones. So I think I'll play a purple one first. And I don't think I'll open with an egg, just because eggs can be good to snipe some really good stuff in the center later in the game without giving someone else the bonus. So I think I'm going to open by playing this 2-feather white-headed woodpecker from the mountains. We'll put that down in the middle. Now everybody flips their cards. And for this first round, it looks like nobody actually picked the same habitat as anybody else, so we all just see the bird that we played. So I get to see this white-headed woodpecker, which is the 2-feather in the mountains. So I'm going to use this app here, and I'm going to mark the 2-feather right there. And now the rest of the players are going to score their individual birds that they've seen. Now it's turn 2, so we're all going to simultaneously select a card from our hand and place it down, as we can see that players 2, 3, and 4 have done that already. And remember, the habitat of the bird that we play now is also going to allow us to see any birds of that habitat from the previous round. So we've got a few different options here. Now obviously we don't want to play another purple because we've already seen this bird right here, and we've got a couple different options. I think at this point, since none of them are crazy big on points, I'm going to go ahead and play this single feather long-billed curlew, because that's going to allow me to see this black oyster catcher over here as well. Also, I'm kind of hoping that players 3 and 4 also want to see this blue oyster catcher and play a blue ocean card so that I could see their birds as well. Alright, let's flip the cards. And it looks like I didn't get lucky. Players 3 and 4 both decided to go for the mountains instead of the ocean. So I'm going to see this long-billed curlew, and I'm going to see this black oyster catcher over here. So I get out my score sheet and I mark the single and double feather for blue. Player 3 is really happy because they played an egg, and not only do they get to see this double feather in the mountain, but they also get to see this rare bird in the mountain as well. At this point, we're going to clear out all the birds from the center so that we can shift the birds we played this turn into the center for the next round. Okay, it's turn 3 and everybody else has already simultaneously picked a card. Now, it's really hard to not go for this rare bird over here. This is a gray-crowned rosy finch, and it's the only card in the mountains that's going to give you 2 victory points. So I think I have to try and get that. I'm going to spend this guy, the American Dipper. That's a 3-feather one, and at the same time, I will be able to see this egg over here. I already have that card, but I think I really want to try and see this rare bird. All right, let's flip the cards. Okay, this is bad. So player 3 decided they wanted to play this golden eagle, which is a raptor. Now what raptors do is they scare away all of the birds from that habitat from the previous round. So as soon as they play that card, both of these mountain birds fly away in fear, and now both myself and player 2 are not going to be able to see them. So that's a real bummer. The positive to that, however, is that we do get to see that raptor, and we also see ourselves. So this is still not a terrible turn, but wow, that could have been amazing. Oh well. So I'm going to see this American Dipper, this Steller's Jay, and this Golden Eagle all in the mountains. So that is going to be the single the feather, the triple feather, and the raptor for purple. Player 3 definitely made out the best, however, because they were able to see both those birds from the last round, and they get to see all these birds as well. Okay, let's discard the previous round's birds and move these on in the middle. Okay, for the next turn, I actually have a somewhat simple decision. I've already seen all of these mountain birds here, and we see that player 4 played this rare forest bird over here, the varied thrush, so we'd really like to see that. However, we've only got these 2 green cards here, and one of them is the raptor, which would actually scare this varied thrush away, so we pretty much have to play this egg, I think, so that we can see that rare card, because there's only one of this particular bird in the whole deck. So this is no surprise. Considering myself, player 2, and player 3 all saw all these awesome mountain birds last turn, we jumped on the chance to see this rare forest bird over here, the varied thrush. There's only one of these in the deck, so now was the chance for all three of us to be able to see it. So we jumped on. Unfortunately, players 2 and player 3 both play the same bird, so all of us are only going to see 3 different birds. Player 4 was also able to jump from behind and see all these cool mountain birds that we played last turn, but player 4 had already seen this white-headed woodpecker, so they also only get to see 3 birds total this turn. So I'm going to mark down that I was able to see this spotted towhee, this Townsend's warbler, and this varied thrush. For my next turn, I am essentially starting over because I've seen all 4 of these birds that are here in the center, so I kind of want to try and guess and figure out what other people might be doing. Unfortunately, pretty much everybody's seen all these birds, so it's a bit of a crapshoot. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play this belted kingfisher here, and we'll see what happens. This worked out okay. 2 people played other wetlands birds. Unfortunately, one of them was also the same bird that I also saw this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and see this belted kingfisher and this snowy egret. For my next turn, I've already seen all of these wetlands birds, and I have a brown pelican in my hand. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and play this desert cactus wren right here, and we'll see if anybody else goes with orange. Cool, so player 3 ended up playing a desert bird, so we'll both get to see both of those, but player 2 is the one that really made out on this, because player 4 decided to play the ace from the wetlands, which is the American bittern, and it's worth 2 victory points. So player 2 definitely had the best turn here. So I get to see this phainopepla, and I get to see this cactus wren. Alright, so now I have a pretty interesting decision to make. One thing might just seem obvious, well, let's just play a wetlands card down here so we can see this ace. However, I know that the raptor for the wetlands has not been played yet, so it's somewhat possible that player 4 here could have played a raptor to scare these away, which means, well, I also have this triple feather for wetlands already, so it's less good of a move. Instead, what I could do is I could play the raptor for the desert, this prairie falcon. What that would do is it would scare both of these away. Also, I'm hoping that one of the other players is interested in trying to cash in on these desert birds, and I could not only see their desert bird, but I could make their life a little bit harder by removing the birds that they get to see. Alright, so that's exactly what happened. We see that player 4 played this ace last turn because they knew they had this raptor card in hand, so that they would be able to scare away this ace before hopefully too many people were able to see it. And then also looks like one of the person kind of fell for the bait, so I was able to scare both of these away, but now I get to see that desert bird as well. There's only one raptor card per habitat in the whole deck, so we've seen most of them now. There's going to be a lot less of this scaring birds away as the game goes on. But I was able to see this prairie falcon and this common porwell. Alright, so looking at our hand and also seeing the stuff that we've scored, we can tell that we really don't need to go to the desert right now. We have both of those birds already. And this raptor, I mean, it's a pretty good bird to see, and we have the egg out there. Well, the egg doesn't mean anything because the ace was scared away for the wetlands, so I'm never going to be able to get that. I have the egg in my hand, but I think it's probably worth it to play this triple feather common yellow throat right here, because I'm also hoping that some other players are hoping to jump in and grab this raptor. And that definitely happened. In fact, got pretty lucky. The rare bird over here came out, so I'm going to have a pretty good turn here. So I get to see the common yellow throat. I also get to see the northern harrier. Over here we have the red-winged blackbird, so I get that one as well. And then finally we've got the hooded merganser. Unfortunately, I am just the ace away from getting all, but that's never going to happen, so pretty bummed about that. However, with that play, player 2 was able to see every single bird in the wetlands. They're going to get that 3-point all bonus, so player 2 definitely made out there. So as you can see, I don't really care about the previous round's birds. I have a desert egg in my hand, and this triple feather for the desert, well, I've already marked it. I've already got all of these teals, so that doesn't really matter. I think I'm just going to have to just go for something else in my hand. And now might not be a bad time to drop this wing. The reason I'm doing that is, first of all, I need the wing, but I'm also hoping that people see the wing, they want to jump on it, and maybe this egg, or really great, would be the ace of purple coming out on the next round that I can potentially grab with this egg. We'll see if that works out. This is pretty expected. Nobody else went for the mountains, so all I get to see is this mountain quail here, but we'll see if people are lured in by that on the next turn. Alright, so my original plan was to follow up this quail with the egg. Unfortunately, I now looked at my opponent's score sheets and realized that the ace for mountains has already come out, so that gambit really did not pay off. I think instead I'm going to go ahead and play this egg right here because there is an ace of desert out there, so I'm going to hope to grab that and maybe some stuff that other people have. Okay, so this really worked out for me. In fact, I'm going to be able to see everything in the desert. So we start out, we can see the black-throated sparrows, so I see that. And then we've got this Scots oriole, so I mark that down there. And then we got this guy over here, well, I already seen the double feather. But lastly, we've got a great roadrunner, which was the last one I needed. And I press this, and then boom, I get the all. So I'm getting 10 points for the desert. So I'm really happy that worked out, even though my little quail gambit totally failed. With this play, player 4 was also able to see everything in the desert. At this point, I have the purple egg, so I don't care about that, and I've obviously completed the desert, so I once again don't really care about last turn's birds. So I think I'm just going to drop this triple feather brown pelican down, and we'll see what happens. Wow, we all went ocean, which is not terribly surprising. It's been a little bit neglected throughout the game, which means at some point those cards are going to be in hand and they're going to start to come out. Unfortunately, we've got 2 eggs, so it's not the craziest ocean, but every single player is going to see 3 birds. So I spot the brown pelican, the Brandt's cormorant, and unfortunately I've already seen the black oyster catcher, so I only got to see 2 birds this turn, so that didn't work out too well for me. At this point, every player has seen all of these birds in the middle, so let's see. I think I'm probably going to play this raptor right here, and the reason for that is because I kind of have to hope that somebody else is going to go with one of these forest cards, because if they play one a turn earlier and it shifts to the middle, I'm never going to be able to see it because I'm going to chase it away. So I'm going to play this down and hope I catch something good. Wow, one great perk of not having a great memory is you could put things like the forest ace down, completely forget, and then play for it, and then be surprised when you're the only one playing. So this worked out really well for me. So I'm going to see the northern ghost shark, and I'm going to see that spotted owl over there. I've already seen the spotted towhee, so that doesn't do anything for me. Unfortunately, player 2 also needed that raptor, and they were able to finish their second column with that play, and I wasn't able to finish one, so player 2 made out way better than I did on that turn. Oops, I forgot to mention that this raptor over here scares away all of these guys in the middle, but it didn't actually impact gameplay because we had all seen them already. Alright, so we only have 2 more turns, because one of these cards we're not going to play. If we look at our scoring sheet here, we see, well, I need that raptor, I have this wing, I know that the ace hasn't come out, I think I could probably play this down, it's possible the ace will come out, but either way I think this is definitely my best move because I really want to see that raptor over there. And look at that, player 2 had the same feeling, they obviously wanted the raptor as well, so we're both going to make out pretty well here, so I'm going to get to see this rhinoceros owlet, and I get to see this osprey, and finally, I do get to see this Laysan albatross, which completes my second row. Woohoo! Alright, for my last card play of the game, we can see that the only thing I could see from last turn is this triple feather from the mountains, but I've already seen that one before. And looking at the wetlands over here, the only thing I need to see is the ace, but it's gone. So I guess I'll just play this, I'll get to mark this off of my sheet and not get any points for it, but that's not too surprising. 35 is a very good score, so there's very few things that I can actually do to make my situation better at this point. And as expected, nothing really turned out from that, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark the egg down there, and that was my last score of the game. Looks like player 3 was able to scratch out an all on the forest with that last action. Alright, let's add up the scores and see who won. Alright, so you can see I have 35 points, which is automatically calculated by the app, which is pretty nice. And player 2 has 35, player 3 and player 4 both have 30. Now, there's no official tiebreaker yet, but I'm just going to make one up at the moment and say that player 2 had 4 of the aces seen to my 3, so I'm going to give the honorary victory to player 2. I hope you've enjoyed this full 4-player playthrough of Birds of a Feather. Thanks for watching.